everybody I've talked to, from people who are making, millions upon millions of dollars in revenue share and have these huge teams within eXp, everybody is really willing to share about what they have done to be successful within this model.
Hey there, future real estate legends. This is Jason P. Jordan, your go-to global real estate coach and the president and CEO of the Legends International team, brokered by eXp Realty. I just wanted to thank you for being here and welcome you to another episode of the Lit Real Estate Show, where we interview our equity partners at eXp Realty in the USA and from all around the globe. Now I just ask you to please subscribe to my channel by clicking the subscribe button and hitting that bell icon so you never miss another Lit show or any other future videos that I have then launch here on this channel. It also helps the show grow so we can get even more successful eXp Realty agents on to help you. Now, at the same time, if you're a subscriber, you'll get access to new shows before anyone in the world does. If you would, subscribe right now. Thanks so much.
And without any further ado, let me introduce Bob. I'm going to put him on my proper screen here. So Bob is from Minnesota. We've had icons from all over the nation that have joined us and all over the world. Bob has been an icon agent, as I mentioned earlier in the introduction. There's about 3,000 of us out of about 90,000 agents worldwide. And every year since the first year he joined in 2019, he's become and he's earned the level of icon. He's a team lead on the Snyder Team in eXp Realty here in good old Minnesota. He's just a few miles away from where I am in Maplewood, and he has focused 100% on luxury and relocation markets. The team averages 250 transactions per year. The majority of his business is driven via technology, communications, and his own personal network. Bob has worked in a variety of capacities in the real estate industry for 20 plus years. He's been with RE/MAX probably the longest, since '96, and was also a part of an organization called Remote Pipes Inc., where he managed the marketing, the sales, the technology functions of a business. And here's the other cool thing about it: assisting in capital raising efforts, which I'd like to know more about as well. And he's also a Tommy, which, by the way, is short for graduate from the University of St. Thomas. He has his MBA in business management and information systems. Really sharp individual, but extremely down to earth, knows exactly what he's doing and how to do it. So we're going to learn all about it here in just a moment. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. How are you, Marty?
I am super good and getting better. Hey,
Good,
as we get started, we always like to hear some fun facts about our speakers. You can talk real estate and different things, but it's always fun to hear, maybe one or two things that are unique, maybe a hobby or countries that you visited or places that you've gone that most people wouldn't know about you. So share a little bit about you as far as a nice fun fact to get us started.
Sure. Well, I have a lot of hobbies, which I try to fit in. Most of them are, I'm a huge outdoor enthusiast. So I actually have a farm about an hour away from my house, and I try to get up there as often as possible. It's a 161 acre farm where we grow soybeans and corn, and I have a farmer who does all that work for me, and he
Sure.
collects the check for all that. But ultimately what we're doing is we're creating a habitat environment, or increasing the environment for or improving it, I should say, for wildlife. So grouse, pheasants, white-tailed deer, etc. And I'm a very avid bow hunter, so that's where I get a lot of my stress relief from, is up about 20 feet up in a tree. So that's one of the things that I really enjoy doing. And I actually just came back from a weekend up in Lake Vermilion. I was up fishing up in Lake Vermilion for a couple days up there with a couple really good friends of mine. And whenever I can sneak away to that beautiful place up there, I like to do that as well. So
Excellent. Do you have any time to get in some golf?
Yeah, I've played like probably 4 or 5 rounds this year. I got some really tight buddies that are part of the Stillwater Country Club, And so try to get over there on Tuesdays and Fridays when I can. And yeah, I definitely sneak in some rounds. I'm not all that good at it, but I have a lot of fun at it, you know.
We had a ton of fun last year at the first annual eXp Minnesota event that Dave, Monica, and others hosted. So we're very, very excited to have that happen again. If it's going to happen, Dave, maybe you can chime on at the end and tell us about that. But let's go back in time and tell us a little bit about, you know, how and why you got involved in real estate, because it's always an interesting story. What was it about the real estate industry that attracted you? Tell us a little bit about, with over 20 years of experience, what attracted you way back when to the real estate industry?
Well, I was never, you know, growing up, I never thought I would be in the real estate business, quite honestly. So it was, you know, I went to school. I was in a corporate environment. I worked for companies like Blue Cross Blue Shield, Deluxe Check Corporation, and a small startup company that you mentioned in my intro, which was called Remote Pipes. And I was in the technology side of business. So I was a liaison between highly technical people and business salespeople. So I was the kind of person that would help the business and salespeople understand what the technical people are doing, and also helping the technical people understand what the salespeople needed. So I was, you know, in that role. It was pretty neat. Pretty early on in my career, I got to fly on the private jet with Deluxe down to Florida. We were responsible for setting up all the technology for the sales force down there. So that was, you know, kind of one of the highlights of my corporate career. And then also, you know, taking on a leadership role within Remote Pipes, where we would literally fly out to Wall Street for a day and pitch our company to venture capitalists. So it was a very interesting time. I was in my late 20s, early 30s, also studying for my MBA at that time as well. And Jennifer, you know, she was in the real estate business, and, you know, so I would always be helping her with, you know, some marketing for her listings. And this was back before, you know, this is how long I've been in the business, is back before we actually had the internet to promote our listings.
Wow.
I don't know if you remember the blue screens where you go out there and you had the listing books and those sorts of things. So I told Jennifer, I said, someday this stuff's all going to be available online, someday, you know. Nice. And we were and at that point in time, we were starting to have children. And the next thing I know, you know, Remote Pipes, that was when we had the telco breakdown. If you guys remember, like the MCI and those folks that, you know, they were struggling, and they slowly went out of business. And what we were doing at the time with Remote Pipes is we were supplying connectivity for remote workers so they could connect back via secured dial-up lines through their corporate networks. And obviously all that has changed now, but it was a wonderful experience for me. So I decided to take a break from that company, polish up my resume, and see what the corporate world had to offer. While in the meantime, you know, Jennifer was doing extremely well in the real estate business. So I was helping her continue with her success. And the next thing you know, I was getting my real estate license, and boom, there I was. So, you know, I never really had any intention to join the real estate business. And partly why is, for some who know me, I'm a fairly sociable person, but I don't necessarily like being around a lot of people, you know? So for me, it was, for me, it was a change for the better. And I just found that I found my niche pretty early on in the real estate business, connecting in with people at a professional level. And that's basically how I found my niche moving forward.
Awesome. Well, you know, the interesting part about real estate is how technologically advanced it's become. This year at our global conference, we'll be talking about, it's all about AI. I mean, think about where we are today and go back to this whole dial-up, you know, and secure dial-up lines with the I mean, with the AOLs of the year, I mean, before Al Gore, invented the internet, all that stuff. It's just, we've come
Right.
such a long way in such a short period of time. It's amazing when we think about the floppy disks and all the things we used to have, and like you said, these books that were updated, weekly, to see what listings were happening, then getting the old map book out, the King's map book or what have you, to go find where you were going to find these homes. I mean, it was hard.
I don't know how I look back at it, and I don't know how I found half the houses I was showing, because right now it's just so easy. You plug it in, and you don't even think about it. You let your GPS or your phone take you right there.
Right.
It'd be fun to go back in time for a couple days when you're in the heat of a corporate relocation client, showing them 30 houses in a day. How that was even manageable, I don't even know how I did it, going back and thinking back about it now, because technology has made it much easier for us.
Yeah, and you just got cell phones too, to be able to call and maybe get directions or what have you. So amazing.
Absolutely.
Well, let's talk a little bit now about the not too distant past, about 4 years ago when you joined eXp. It's always interesting to know how long after you first heard about eXp that you decided to join or move over. A lot of people, especially yourselves, that had a great team that you were building and did a lot of volume. What was it about eXp? And more importantly, how long did it take you to decide, and what were some of the steps that you had to take before making that decision to jump over?
That's a great question. So eXp was brought to my attention through Monica and Dave, who are on this call, Monica and Dave Fry. And I knew the history of Monica and Dave's. They also were early on with Keller Williams in our market up here.
Yep.
And so I was very interested in hearing what, and they had success with Keller Williams, growing that brand up in this marketplace. And so I was interested in hearing what eXp had to offer when they had made the move. So I actually had really early conversations at Jennifer as well, my business partner. We had early conversations with Monica and Dave, and quite honestly, I was on board right away. I wish I would have been able to, let's put it this way. I would have had a lot more in my retirement savings if I would have moved 2 years earlier than we did. But it took Jennifer a little bit of time to get on board as well. And I think part of why it took her a little bit to get on board is because we had some corporate relocation contracts through RE/MAX.
I see.
And so there were losing those, or potentially having to work on getting those over to eXp. I think that made her nervous, and rightfully so too. It made me a little bit nervous as well. But coincidentally, while we were thinking about eXp, a lot of these corporate relocation compensation systems were changing, meaning they weren't quite as good as they used to be. And now the corporate relocation employee basically started getting lump sums instead of getting full packages where they'd have a realtor assign and that sort of thing. So long story short, so Jennifer went down to Florida and met with some leadership down there with eXp. And the next thing I knew, I got a phone call from Jennifer, and a three-way call with her and Glenn Sanford, and basically says, "Bob, why are you waiting so long to come on over?" I said, "Well, why don't you talk to the person to your left, because I'm waiting on her." And he goes, "Well, she's all in, so come on over." So we sat. So our team at the time we had about 6 agents on our team at the time. Sat down with them, explained the compensation arrangement, how that was going to change a little bit. And we had, of our team members, we had 3 come over, we had 3 stay back. And coincidentally now, the 3 that stayed back, 2 of the 3 are totally out of the business. So, and the main reason why they stayed back is they were tied to branding, and they felt as if they needed that real estate brand for themselves to be successful. And I knew they didn't, that the brand isn't making you successful. You're the one that's making yourself successful. So align yourself with a brokerage that allows you to be that way. So then we made the transition over to eXp. Now going on year 5, our anniversary date is April 1st.
Cool. All right, beautiful. Well, what's so cool about the whole process, and I'm that same guy that wishes I would have got started sooner. It took me about 11 months to get my ducks in a row or my stuff together, if you will. And I definitely regret when you look at what the stock price was at. And I'm 100% with you. And I can imagine back then how much less it was and how much more you would have made, like you said, towards your retirement. So, but it's all good in the neighborhood. I mean, everyone has an opportunity to be a part owner and have ownership in the company, which is exciting, and be a part of something where you really can connect with the leadership. And speaking of Glenn Sanford, when he mentioned that earlier, everyone, that is our founder and CEO that they had an opportunity to connect with. So, and even today, as big as we are, he's still very, very accessible. He's there. He's one of us. He's been an agent. He knows the struggles of what we've gone through. And I'm just so impressed with our leadership. So let me ask you, Bob, what impressed you the most about our leadership that was in place and how it's grown over the years as far as helping people to see the vision of eXp?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think you nailed it with accessibility there. For the most part, because we all have a common goal of growing the brokerage, but at the same time, what I appreciate about Glenn is this is a brokerage for the agents. The way that the model is set up is to really benefit us as agents, who are the ones that have feet on the street, that are generating the revenue for the company. So I appreciate so he's accessible. He's, as we've grown, his accessibility hasn't necessarily gone away. And everybody I've talked to, from people who are making millions upon millions of dollars in revenue share and have these huge teams within eXp, everybody is really willing to share about what they have done to be successful within this model. So I greatly appreciate that. And part of the reason why, and that's a huge reason as to why we moved over, we were in our RE/MAX office, the top agents within our office. We didn't have really anybody to aspire to within our office and to take to that, to help us get to that next level. And so, when we came together with eXp, we had a lot of these large RE/MAX teams or large franchise owners move over. And, that just confirmed the choice that obviously they had done their due diligence and believe this model is going to work for them. So, we're going to definitely hop on the boat with them and do it all together. So I just like how open and accessible the leadership group is, and also innovative. They're doing some very innovative things in regards to, database technology through KV Core, through their purchase of Boom, which now is purchased Boomtown. So they're trying to create, or they have created awesome technology tools for us as agents to use. And also a variety of training within their platform that's easy for us to onboard and bring on new agents as well as existing agents, and have them have accessibility to top performing agents and seeing what they have to do. So within this company, there's really no excuse as an agent that you don't have the training or you don't have the accessibility. If you're not successful as an agent within the eXp model, you're probably not going to be successful as an agent under any model. So it's, I just feel like they have built a strong infrastructure from a technology and learning perspective that we all are very lucky to have access to.
Absolutely. Well, very well said. You talked earlier about when you came over, only 3 out of 6 came over, but those 3 have grown. So talk about how your team has grown, what you've done as far as retention on your local team, and then we'll talk a little bit in just a moment about the RevShare team, which is kind of the greater global team, if you will. So what are you doing, especially in these times, to grow and retain your current local team?
Well, that's we've struggled with that, honestly, this last couple of years, as the market has, inventory levels have gone down, interest rates have gone up. The client is, harder to acquire, to get them to a transactional level. So we have struggled with that. We had our team up to, at the highest count, 14 agents. And that was about 2 years ago now. And then we had lost about almost half of our team to some of these larger mega teams, whether they're with the eXp brokerage or not, because these folks were promised leads, whether they were coming from Zillow, whether they were coming from Realtor, wherever the lead was coming from. So in a way, it was a good way for us to kind of flush through and look at how we're doing business and how our compensation program is with our team. And we have made some adjustments, while at the same time those agents that left chasing the leads, they're not necessarily any better. In fact, a lot of cases they're worse off, making less money per deal than they have been. In fact, I had one of our agents come back to us this last week. So but it has been a struggle for us. And as we were losing those agents, quite frankly, my shift and Jennifer's shift within the team came to, we have to make sure we're doing deals to keep us moving forward. And then also time block to recruit other agents to our team, but we had to make sure we had a really good value proposition in place. And right. I felt like our value proposition to recruit team members, 6 months ago, 12 months ago, wasn't there. So we kind of froze the recruiting. Because, as far as team recruiting, now we would talk about eXp, but we weren't really willing to bring anybody on our team because we were working through some infrastructure things. Now we've flushed through a lot of that and we're on the rebuild, and we have a lot of exciting things that we're working on right now. But yeah, I think probably most team leaders who have experienced some attrition in this marketplace, because it's just been a more challenging market than what we've been used to.
Sure, absolutely. Well, you mentioned about being able to continue to share the model, and part of our model is this idea of revenue sharing versus profit sharing that other companies have tried, but there's a big difference between revenue sharing and profit sharing. So talk a little bit more about how you're building and how you time block and what you're doing to find the time away from doing deals, working with your local team, spending time up in the woods. I mean, it's all about this time balance, but this idea of revenue share gives you an opportunity to actually look towards retirement, in my opinion, more so than you would ever have in any other brokerage. And then of course the stock as well. So how are you building your RevShare team, and kind of where has your team grown to, from Minnesota as one of the top teams here and one of the top teams in the region and nation? How are you growing your RevShare team as a greater team throughout the world?
That's a good point. And and we honestly, we hadn't done a lot of like I said, the last 18 months we haven't focused a lot on the actual recruiting piece, because again, it was a time balance type thing that we work towards. We've now throttled that back up, and we're identifying who we feel as if this model would really benefit. And so what we have done is we've worked at segmenting where it can be a benefit to us as well, if they want to come on as a team lead, or as a team member, or if they just want to come on as a single agent within eXp. I've had those conversations with agents who've come over. Right now, my revenue share group is in the mid 200s. Right now, we're going to have our best revenue share, even though we haven't been recruiting agents, because the agents that we have been part of bringing on in the past have all brought on good people. So that's what's nice, is that we all work together, and the next thing you know, you see a revenue check hit your account, and you're like, wow, I didn't even realize that was going to be coming to me this month, which is great. And I mean, and they're large enough to pay the mortgage, so that piece has been good. But focusing in on now, it's becoming more of a larger focus, especially as I become older. I'm 52 years old. I want to be in a really good place, within the next 5 years, where I don't have to work, where I want to work. And this model allows me to focus in on doing that. So our goal this year is right now we're at, right around, I think we're sitting at right about 13 qualified revenue share agents. Our goal is we want to get that number up to, by the end of the year, we very easy, just want to get it up to 15. And then next year, we want to take it from 15 to 25. So next year is going to be definitely more time allocated towards building that revenue share stream, but it's not, I don't even look at it from that perspective. I look at it from perspective of helping and letting them know my experience, because part of the reason why we did move over from RE/MAX is because RE/MAX didn't have any retirement program for us. Right. We were always recruiting team members that would come into RE/MAX and help the brokers pad their pockets more. I'd rather have those agents pad their own pockets instead of padding a broker's pockets. So with all the hard work that they're doing, all the stress that they take on and trying and doing deals and whatnot, I mean, like I said, at the end of the day, what I like about this company is that they're rewarding the people who are, generating the revenue. And so by sharing that and sharing some experiences along the way, because we have had some nice runs in the stock, I highly encourage every single one of my team members to be part of the purchase program, the stock purchase program. For every single commission check they collect, they can purchase up to 5% of stock at a discounted price. I mean, you're building yourself right there a nice retirement piece. And then on top of that, if you're a team leader and you have, like maybe a 401k established within your LLC or whatever it might be, you're able to essentially now create another retirement stream as being a team leader. So when I talk to team leaders, I start talking about that, and they're kind of like, whoa, hey, that's interesting to me. Now, some of them get wrapped up in doing the deal, and I've had conversations that they're still at their place of where we had originally talked. They're still at their brokerage, but you continue to have those conversations along the way, and you start seeing them slowly start coming over, Right. Yeah. And the other thing is too, is we have some really good people within our next level lines that are really good at recruiting. And sometimes what I will do is I'll be like, hey, I know this person is probably really close to making a move, and I will just pass that information to that person and say, hey, why don't you go ahead and try to get them guys on board? I will continue to help, but you bring them on, you work on getting them on board, and when we all benefit, right? Yeah. So that's the one thing I like, is I don't have to, I make my money selling real estate and helping my team sell more real estate. Now, I don't want to take a lot of focus away from doing that. I look at my high dollar per hour activities when I time block my schedule. But as time now goes on, and as this revenue group is growing, more time is going to start being allocated towards that, because that's more of a predictable revenue source in a lot of cases than selling the actual real estate itself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's the whole idea, is that when you can start counting on that more for a bigger chunk of your revenue and your income, that becomes an opportunity where you get to have choices on how many deals you want to do and how many of those you might refer to other people. Speaking of deals, though, let's talk about what are your big kind of 2 or 3 top bread and butter deals that are getting you to icon each and every year. We talked about relocation, we talked about luxury, what are some of the things that you're doing? I don't know if you want to break down the percentages, but just kind of like, what does it look like when you look at your book of business that you're doing each and every year to get you to Icon? What are some of those things that you're doing?
Yeah, good question. So, for us being in the business now for going on 26 years, we obviously have a large client database that we market to. I think a lot of what happens is that people, they sell their clients a house and then they're kind of done with them. Well, that's when it all begins. When you sell them the house, now you stay connected with them, provide them value. You should be at least at a minimum yearly giving them updates on their market, on their home valuation. So for us, roughly 76% of our business is repeat referral business.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, and that's trickled down through. So when our team agents do business, that's all factored into that. The rest of it is, online leads for the most part. You get a few open house, clients that you might acquire, but the repeat referral business is the highest, bar none. The next one is the pay for lead programs, whether you're buying it through Zillow, whether you're buying it through Realtor.com, but you got to have really good converters on your team to make those work. Yep. And then, obviously making sure your team agents are out there, on social media, doing open houses, exposing, themselves to their friends, to their family, to their networks. But as far as how we track it, like I said, 76% of our business comes from repeat referral.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. And that's a testament to, what you've done to take care of past clients. And like you said, continue to nurture those relationships, because that's what's most important, to continue to see that grow. And, what's nice about it is not have to worry each and every day or each week, like, where's the next deal going to come from? I mean, if you have that pipeline filled, you have things going on, which kind of leads me into my next question, which is, what are one or two pieces of advice that you would give new agents who want to see more consistency in their income? What things should they be focusing on?
Well, first off, they got a time block. Every week they got a time block. They don't have to spend 40 hours a week prospecting. They just have to prospect really smart. So whether that's 2 hours, whether that's 4 hours, whatever the number is, you have to have as many real estate conversations as possible. So time blocking to determine what that real estate conversation is. And for me, a real estate conversation is if you're having a conversation or a communication through like Facebook Messenger or through Instagram or whatever it might be. That's a conversation as much as what we are doing right now, or having coffee or having lunch or dinner with somebody. Right. So that's kind of the key pieces. One of the things that I do when I talk to new agents in the business, or they're thinking about going in the business, the first question I ask them is, do you know a lot of people? And if they can't answer that question, or they don't, meaning that, yes, I know a lot of people, in my opinion, they're going to struggle. They have to know a lot of people to get things going. They cannot necessarily rely. I mean, they can go work for like a Chris Lindahl or something like that and go get a bunch of billboard leads or whatever it might be. And they might be good and be able to build their business. But from my perspective, they have to know a lot of people, and then you can help them know how to communicate to the people that they know. Right. The second thing is being consistent in and being deliberate in your actions that you're doing. Like, we do a newsletter every month. It stinks to do it. There's things that we need to do. I have to do videos. We have to grab stats. We have to wordsmith, although AI is making it a little bit easier. We have to wordsmith paragraphs and whatnot for our newsletter. But I'm still a huge part of that process, and it seems like you get the newsletter out and boom, the next week you're moving on to the next month's newsletter. But that newsletter for us provides relevance to our client database, that we're still out in the market, we're still participating, we're educating, and being diligent on that is key. So you just need to determine 2 to 3 things, maybe 4, that you need to try, and you need to be consistent at it. You can't give up too soon on it, and eventually time is gonna tell you if that's a worthwhile exercise you're doing to acquire clients.
Sure.
I can't tell you how many times, and we're as guilty as anybody else, where all of a sudden you're like, yeah, I'm gonna start this postcard farm, and the next thing you know, you do your postcard farm for 4 months, and you're not getting any deals out of deals. The next thing you know, your postcard farm's gone. Well, you just wasted 4 months of income with a postcard farm, and that you should have kept going after, because eventually it would have started paying back your investment. And the consistency piece is really hard for people if they're not used to being able to self-manage themselves. And I see it all the time, so, and it is hard to be disciplined. But one key that I've noticed about all the successful agents that I've run into, personalities can range wildly amongst these successful agents, but the one thing that they have in common is they're all extremely disciplined and consistent and intentional with what they're doing.
Great words of advice. I love it. Well, real quickly, let's kind of run through a couple others as we wrap up. First of all, experienced agents. What advice would you give to experienced agents that want to become icon, to take it from doing that 10 to 12 to 15 to getting to 30 or more, to getting to that icon level? What's some tidbits you'd like to share with the experienced agents on what it's going to take and what they should do to plan on getting to icon?
Yeah, I think what I see amongst experienced agents that are doing, let's just say, like you said, 10 to 15 deals, maybe $3 to $6 million in volume. Typically what they're missing is a couple more pieces they need to be really consistent on doing. And then and depending upon the personality of the agent, and depending upon, quite frankly, their age and how they're connecting in with people, I offer advice. I have team members that are, 28 to 54 years old. So my 54-year-old agent's doing things differently, and I'm doing things more like my 54-year-old agents are, than my 28, 29, 30, 34-year-old agents. So a lot of times it's a matter of just being consistent and disciplined on a couple things that they can work on. And I'll give you one example. I have an agent on my team. She does very well, but she needs to be more intentional about sharing to her Instagram friends, her Facebook friends, that she's in real estate. She needs to be more consistent about posting and sharing some of that, not like over the top, but just working it in. And she's been working on that, and it's really been paying off for her the last 6 months. So the experienced agent, you just kind of got to know what's your strengths and are you being consistent in it. And most of the time, if an agent's struggling, why they're struggling is because they're not time blocking and they're not doing their prospecting. That's 100% of the time what the problem is.
Got it. So, vision of the future. How big do you see this getting for you, your team, and the company? Talk a little bit about that.
Well, I see with this model that eXp has, we're at 89,000 agents right now, which is great. When I joined, I think we're at 16,000. So you can do the math in 4.5 years as far as what's happened. When I started initially talking with Dave and Monica, we were at 8,000. So I see this continuing to grow. We've plateaued a little bit, in the growth with eXp, and I think a lot of that is just due to the market, in some cases, and it takes some time to get there. So it's not some agents will jump over right away. Some other agents need to have a little more time to analyze, and then finally, when their pain points have struck them to a point where they can't take it no more, that's when they'll make their move. So I see eXp to grow continually moving forward. As far as what we're doing with our team, we're a mega team. So what that means is that we have to provide $56,000 a year in cap to eXp Realty with our team members. Our team members have a $4,000 cap, which is great for them. And, so we need, so that piece, I always see us maintaining, a mega team status. For us, we have some markets that we're going after that are kind of outside of the core Twin Cities market. That's going to help us, because it's really easy within our model to run a distributed business. Like I have a team up on Lake Vermilion, and right. So we meet every week. They're killing it up there right now, which is great, and it works really easily. They all their transactions get coordinated down here, in the internet, and we help them get their photography schedule. We help them do all that sort of thing. So it's this distributed, this technology model works really good. It doesn't matter where your agents are. If you want to go down to Iowa or Nebraska or right. Arkansas to recruit agents, it doesn't matter where your home base is, so, but for us, what we're looking at is, we don't want to necessarily increase our team members locally here, because we don't want them cannibalizing on some of the online leads that we're generating. Sure. So we're looking at broadening that piece out, and just continuing to work with and talk about eXp with people that we're in the business with that won't be necessarily on our team, but would be part of eXp and part of our revenue share group. So like I said, I want to see our revenue share group cap out at 40, where we can, because we have so many opportunities to capitalize on, and we're leaving so much money on the table right now. I can't even imagine how much that is that we're leaving on the table, just because we haven't opened up certain levels of our revenue share. So I see us growing that piece, and I see us growing that through smaller markets for us, and creating kind of a repeatable and model where we can take it from what we've tried and what we've understood that has worked and what has been successful, and then just move that to a different location and try to align with similar type of agents. That way, I think that's a huge focus of what we're going to be doing.
Yeah, I love the idea of expanding into new markets, like being able to go up to Lake Vermilion, where you're going to go anyways. So now you can write it all off, have some fun. For me, it'll be in Florida, to expand down into Florida and build a team in Florida. So that's the beautiful thing. And then you look at the international piece, where we have agents now on our team in 13 countries around the world, and Jason has done an amazing job at being able to manage and work with and support and encourage those agents through development deals, putting together some amazing opportunities. So we're very, very excited about the future of international as well. But as we wrap up here, Bob, and I thank you so much for your time, is there anything else you want to share on a closing thought? Maybe anything that you feel you want to share? Obviously, this recording will be available for many to benefit from in the future. We'll make sure we get you a copy that you can use as well to share. Anything else you'd like to on a closing note?
Yeah, I would just say that, for agents who feel really comfortable with where you're at right now, outside of eXp, but maybe you have one eye open as to what's going on. Learn more and be uncomfortable, because that's what's going to take you to that next level. Because if you're a really comfortable agent, you've probably been kind of status quo for a while. Right. So by making that change, it helps revitalize you as a real estate agent, because we can sometimes get burnt out in this business, constantly, because it can be a transactional business if that's what you choose it to be. But look at the, like I'm always looking at brokerage models as far as what's going on. Look at what's going on. And I'm telling you, you're not going to find a better model right out there that and the barriers of entry are so high right now for somebody to compete with eXp because we're so far ahead. Make that change. Make that change and be uncomfortable making that change is what I would say. Obviously, we all have here. I think there's somebody on the call that maybe is thinking about coming on over.
Right.
But that I wish I would have made the change earlier. And there's still huge upside to this company. Some people think they're getting into this company too late. I disagree. We're still super early on.
Absolutely. With the vision that Glenn has to go to 500,000 agents in 50 countries, over the next, 4 to 5 more years, there is tons of opportunity.
Yeah.
And you're right, where we were is cool, but where we're going is even better. And as the technology continues to improve, we are absolutely going to dominate the world stage when it comes to real estate. We already have in many ways, but more and more when we talk about brand, the eXp brand will be all that to so many people, and will be absolutely garnering all the attention and being able to allow people to be individual in the way that they market themselves, but also have an incredible powerhouse name behind it on a global scale, which is pretty cool. So Bob, thank you so much for your time. It's really been a pleasure. Great to hear all the wonderful insights. Continued success to you. And of course, remember to go out there and enjoy yourself in the woods and on the lake.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, appreciate you having me. So always good to connect in and just have some good conversation,
We'll see you in Vegas.
Much. All right. I'll be there.
All right, Bob. Thank you so much.
All right.
Hey, I hope you found value in today's legendary interview with our special guest. If you'd like to see more interviews just like this one, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. And if you'd like to learn more about today's guest, I placed all their contact information in the description below. Who knows? Maybe they are the mentor you've been looking for. And if you're looking to make a change who you are partnered with in real estate, feel free to book a no-pressure private Zoom call with me. During this private call, I'll share with you how we help real estate agents leverage their language skills and cultural connections to close more transactions both locally and internationally using cutting-edge lead generation technology and marketing techniques. If you want to find yourself in a different situation in 90 days or in a year from now, it's important to find the right partners that can mentor you, have the right strategies, and are willing to give you the roadmap without asking for an additional cut of your commission. With the unique eXp Realty model, it's a collaboration, not competition mentality. The numbers don't lie either. So if you're curious, reach out and set up an appointment. I look forward to meeting you. Feel free to check out the other videos I have here on the channel about eXp Realty too, in case you're just curious. Otherwise, drop your questions or suggestions for upcoming guests in the comments below. Once again, I'm Jason P. Jordan, your go-to global real estate coach with the Legends International team, brokered by eXp Realty. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you don't miss any future videos. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.